Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Michael McDonald with Veterans in Politics. Today, our guest is going to be Johnny Bruchhagen, a.k.a. Johnny Brew, running for Clark County Chairman. But before we get to Mr. Brew or Bruchhagen, Michael, do you have any rants?
Man, the heat, the 4th of July was awesome. I don't know if anybody's seen that dome that's going on, but man, there's some trippy stuff on there. I thought I saw the full moon the other day, and I was like, man, that's the biggest moon I've ever seen. And then I see the moon above it, and it's
two moons
right above each other. Yeah, it was so cool looking. And then they had like eyeballs and like 4th of July fireworks coming off of it. It was really cool. But I'm glad that you're here for to tell us about why you're running for the Republican Party chair and the CCRP chair, and I'm glad that we actually get to see you.
Thank you.
And you're from Long Island, where my dad and
that's right.
Too, so.
That's right.
Bronx.
Oh, okay. See,
born in Woodside, moved to Long Island, so I was across the bridge from Steve in Woodside, and then I was down the block from your parents there. And
he had no sugar for me. Knock on his door, trying to bake a cake, no sugar at all.
No sugar.
Johnny Brew had no sugar in his house. I'm like, Johnny, where's your sugar?
My wife's on a diet, bro. She's off sugar, man. I'm lucky I get potatoes in the house. I'm sorry to interrupt. And then the full moon next to the thing was beautiful. We had a big full moon that day. Yeah. I was with David Orloff and John Petrick at the raceway at the bull ring, and Rob Petrick, and it was, beautiful, beautiful moon. And then the new sphere is beautiful. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. But before we get to Mr. Bruchhagen, I just wanted to say happy birthday to Mark Jonas. Mark Jonas is our camera sound guy. He's been actively doing this for several years now.
Should we have him come out?
Mark, why don't you come out?
Give us a wave.
Why don't you come out so people see who you are?
Behind the scenes.
Get over here. All right, let's sing happy birthday to Mark. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Mark. Happy birthday to you. All right. Happy birthday, bro.
Yeah, we're not going to win any singing contest.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just realized I was mic'd up and I was singing at the full volume. I should.
Or do any kind of karaoke anytime soon.
Thanks for all you do, Mark. Yeah.
So this program was brought to you by Ron Quince, who's running for Congress in District Number 1, and Stephanie Phillips, who's running for United States Senate. So now we got that out the way. Trump is in town today.
Yeah, we're going out there tonight. It's going to be a bigger. I guess people are sleeping outside the church waiting for him too. I'm like, wow, these guys are.
That's dedication.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be doing that.
No,
for nobody. Unless it was a family member that was in the hospital or something like that.
I mean, maybe if you're winning a car or something, you keep your hand on a Hyundai or something.
There's 500 tickets, right? You got a ticket, you get into the small little church. It shouldn't be.
I sent the link out and it says 403 error. So yeah,
right.
I guess they sold out already.
Exactly.
Or something. So, yeah.
I'm excited for that though.
Yeah. So, you have anything else?
I'm looking forward to seeing who Johnny is and what he's going to do for the party. And I've heard a lot of stuff about it. So
let's get right to it. Mr.
Awesome.
Bruchhagen, how you doing?
Very good, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for coming on the show. You've never been on the show, huh?
Never been, but I'm a big fan. I'm a distributor.
All right.
And, I'm definitely a fan of VIP.
Thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about you.
I was born in 76 in Queens, like we were saying right beforehand. And I moved out to Long Island when I was 8 years old. My dad, worked for big sign companies in New York. And then my dad ended up opening up his own sign shop on Long Island, which gave me my entrepreneurial experience. Mm-hmm. I was a basketball player in high school. I got straight A's in high school. It was a little easy for me.
Why was it easy?
Because I found that school. No. I mean, I understand. Sometimes I'm a teacher. Sometimes the kids.
You're a teacher now?
I am a teacher right now.
What school?
It's at a charter school, classical charter school. Where it's pen and paper and books and textbooks.
You should run for school board trustee. You ever thought about that?
That comes at the end of my little biography. I've taught everything. I own Infinity the Math Institute. We'll go backwards. How about that?
Talk to us.
I'm the owner of Infinity the Math Institute.
What is that?
It is all math, everything math, because that's the one true thing that we could call wisdom or knowledge. I mean, that's
Unless you don't do Common Core.
well, I mean, it's all the same thing. You got to understand, when you're doing a math problem, there's a bunch of different ways you can approach it, just like any problem, just like there's many ways to skin a cat.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with Common Core, if you want to get that specific, is, Obama and Bill Gates and some smart dude, hypothetically speaking, it's me, were in a room and they said, we need one curriculum for the entire country. So if a kid moves across the country, they still get the same education and stuff like that, which is a great idea in practice.
But 2 + 2 is anywhere you go.
Exactly. And then this one guy said, I know math better than anybody, which is something that I would say, right? But I don't have the ego that this guy had. He said, let me teach the country the way I see math. And Obama and Bill Gates were like, okay. And then this guy wrote this math curriculum, now known as Common Core, which is just 1 out of 12, 15 ways to solve something. And it's the way this particular genius sees stuff. And to be honest, most people don't see stuff the way a genius sees it. You know what I mean?
True.
So we're learning the way that one particular guy who happened to be in the room at the right time, at the right place, how he knows math. And that's why we're having the problems with Common Core math in particular.
Yeah.
And I just want to encourage parents. You don't have to know Common Core math. You teach your children math. It's all the same thing. Teach them the way you know it. And if the Common Core, that will help them understand their teachers in Common Core. But at the same time, math is math. So if you're multiplying and you're carrying, or you're breaking it up into blocks like the Common Core, or you're breaking it down into easier bites, whatever the case may be, it's different for everybody. So, but I digress. So I teach everything math from, basically 3rd grade through real analysis, the hardest math courses that UNLV say offers.
Wow.
And
Smart guy.
Yeah.
Can you use math to solve some of the problems in there?
you wonder, you think that maybe there's a disconnect, all right?
Like some word problems.
The two most,
Before we still got your bio. We still gonna.
we'll get back. But the 2 most published books in human history are, do you guys know?
Bible.
Number 1.
And what's the second?
Euclid's Elements. All right?
I've heard of that.
Euclid wrote Elements, the same geometry class that children and college students are learning right now. He wrote that book 2500 BC. All right? He wrote that, 500 BC, 2500 to 3000 years ago.
Even before my time.
Yeah. And we still use the same math. Now you understand, English has changed. Science changes every day. Even English, our vernacular, the way we speak, all changes. Math stays the same. Math is the same exact thing.
It's universal. Even like they send out math equations to outer space to see if we can.
Precisely. And law is all math. It's logic. Why do we always start out in testimony in court? What's your name and where do you live? Who cares? Did you see the guy kill the guy? Why do we? Because we have to start from the beginning and logically make it a foolproof, waterproof argument. So when Abraham Lincoln was feeling the country slip away, much like we're doing right now, he went back. I think he's from Illinois, and he went back home for 3-4 months because it took a month to get there and a month to get back from Washington or whatever. But he went home and reread Euclid's Elements 2 or 3 times to try to help find political solutions to what our country was going through, because he understood the correlation between math, logic, and politics. Now, of course, when I'm chairman, I'm going to have a much more obvious approach to using math and politics when we're doing stuff like micro-targeting, and we'll get into all that later. But when we're really specifically using data-driven and AI-driven technology to really get what's best and really, reach the lazy Republican or the undecided voter. Those are the 2 demographics we need to get the 1% or whatever it is, to get Drew Johnson and John Petrick over the limit and, avoid a supermajority and get closer to purple, with the ultimate goal, of course, turning Nevada red. Okay. Biography. So I own Infinity the Math Institute. I go off on tangents.
No, you're fine.
Anybody who knows me. So I have Infinity the Math Institute. We were 2,400 square feet, right in the middle of Flamingo and Torrey Pines.
2,400. That's not very big.
That's not very big. What do you? I'm sitting in here. This
house.
beautiful studio. This beautiful studio looks like it's about 1,000 square feet.
A little bit more.
All right, there you go. So we were much bigger than this beautiful, spacious studio, and we were doing amazing things. And I basically risked my life, my fortune, everything on doing this. And in February of 2020, we had our first month in the black. We opened November 2018. About 16 months later, we had our first month in the black. Things were going great. We were negotiating and looking at other locations because we were going to spread. We wanted to be on the west side, but in the low-income area, right on Flamingo and Torrey Pines. We wanted to expand to North Las Vegas, East Las Vegas, and Henderson as well. And then March of 2020, the government and Steve Sisolak decided to shut down my business. I still had rent. I still had Cox, which was a big bill.
You weren't essential.
I wasn't essential, apparently. You know what I mean? And having me sit in a room with 2 kids at a table was too much of a risk to the public.
You know what? I can't figure that out because your job is essential to you because that's how you feed your family. Yeah. Who's the government to come, whether it's state or federal, to come and tell you what your job, if your job is essential or not? Right. Because that's how you feed your family. So it's essential to you.
Well, and you got to say a dancer.
Yeah.
Is a dancer essential?
Mm-hmm.
Is culture essential to, our civilization? Mm-hmm. I think a dancer is essential. I think a teacher is essential. I think a guy fixing the roads or fixing the traffic light is essential. I think our military, we're all essential. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all
absolutely.
Are. Even if you're a bum. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're still a son or a daughter or a brother or a sister and somebody loves you and we're all essential. And then we're all
God's kids. Right?
Exactly. And when I risked everything to literally provide a service for the community, and then I was forced out by the government while the man still got his rent check, while the electricity company still got their check, while everybody else was still getting their check. And I'm scrambling around giving my customers half off because we're all getting killed by COVID and all the money wasn't rolling in. Some people said, I'm sorry, John, this is really important to us, but we can't afford it right now. Well, not anybody, but those people who invested in their child and invested in me, if they said that, which a few people did, they continued to get tutoring for free at my institute because I knew they were a family that valued that and they were thinking, economically speaking, I need to protect my family, so we have to cut costs. No, I will continue to tutor your kid. I gave everybody 50% off right as soon as we're going through these transitions. A couple of customers said, "Thank you, John, but no, we don't need it." We weren't financially affected by the government shutting us down, whether they were a government worker or they were retired, whatever the case may be. Some people said, "No, we don't need the discount. Thank you. Thank you for offering it." And, it was just a way for the community to come together and get through a tough time. But as they ran me out of business, I started making speeches. I started getting a lot more involved. I started, and that's what kind of led me down this road from giving speeches outside of the Luxor for Keep Nevada Open was a group that I was working with. And then we had the big Trump rally, the big boat parade, where we filled up all of Lake Mead. I think we had something like 2,500 boats, and it was like a 7-mile thing. And I mean, we really tried to get out the vote for Trump in 2020. I was able to, after giving some speeches, I was asked to MC an event at Steve Darnell's house, which basically introduced all of the Republican candidates, which is kind of what led me to do the Johnny Brew Show. And I got to meet so many wonderful people that day and, really get to be a tangible part of that. And a lot of those candidates won. For example, like Katie Williams was there that day. We had a couple of judges there that day. And, it was just a spectacular event put on by a lot of patriots. And I continued to do everything I could. I started attending the CCRP with David Sajak. And then, obviously, things started to fall apart in that regard. And the day Rush Limbaugh died is the day that I started the Johnny Brew Show. I was thinking about doing it, pondering, I used to do media. I used to have a Poker Talk radio show network job. I used to work with News 12 in Long Island. And
You're trying to compete with me, huh?
Not at all. And that's what I was trying to explain. As soon as I started the Johnny Brew Show is when I started sharing everything I found of viewers, sharing everything I found from PAAs, sharing the Nevada newsmakers, sharing, they were doing the shows in the mall up north where you couldn't even hear or see anything. But I wanted to get our message out, because the reason I started the Johnny Brew Show is because I was watching any kind of media or social media or mainstream, and they're straight lying to us, and those are the two things that got me involved. I had my business being shut down by COVID. And before that, I realized people who were Trump's best friend from 1985 till 2015. And then 6 months later, people don't remember, Trump was asked to run for president by the people, by the hosts of The View, 6 months before he actually declared. And then, oh yeah, Trump, oh yeah, and they're all in the crowd. The View, the crazy ladies, yeah.
They should change the show to Crazy Ladies.
and they asked Trump. Well, they're very popular, and that's what we got to be.
They're
aware
very
of.
entertaining.
They could be the #1 TV show, on a daily basis. But they were asking Trump to run, and then 6 months later, they were talking about what a horrible racist he was. Oprah Winfrey was Donald Trump's best friend. All the boxers, all the rappers, everybody loved Trump. And I grew up in Queens. And you kind of know how Trump was portrayed in New York. I feel like we know Trump better than everybody else because he was a New York star before he was a world star. And seeing all these...
And to get into real estate in New York, especially Manhattan, you have to go through some.
Just to rent an apartment in Manhattan, you got to know someone. Much less build.
There's the mob you got to get past. There's city government you got to get past.
Teamsters.
There's the unions you got to get past. I mean, there's so much you got to get past.
Politicking. But Trump was a rock star. You know what I mean? And everybody loved him, wanted to be him, loved his work in the community, whether you're talking about in the African-American community or you're talking about just the community at large. He was a hero. And then all these people lied through their teeth. They just, and it drove me nuts. And there's nothing I hate more than a hypocrite, than somebody, who is screaming unity. And then the first time they get the microphone, they're like, we got to kick that person out.
Especially a hypocrite that denies that they're a hypocrite. Right. Hypocrites that come out and say, you know what, like a man would say, you can't cheat on me, but I could go cheat on you. And then maybe that's a hypocrite.
Right. But unless, you say something like 10 years ago, I believed one thing and now I've evolved. Right. That's not a hypocrite. A hypocrite is, or a lie. Let's call a spade a spade. I'm not saying hypocrite. I'm saying liars. Mm-hmm. The mainstream media was straight lying to me. Right now, my mom thinks Trump is Hitler.
Boy.
My mom isn't a crazy person. My mom is just a regular, New
Yorker.
Yeah, a regular New Yorker who, unfortunately, I hate to admit it, but, she's been brainwashed by the media. I'm not saying you have to love Trump. He ain't Hitler. No matter what you do, and, she pokes fun at me because she knows I'm a fan of Trump's and everything, but it's not funny. People really do feel that way. And that's why I'm sure we're going to get into some of my platform, but changing the brand of the Republican Party here in Nevada and Clark County is essential. I've already got a team, 18 to 28-year-old influencers. And if you don't know what an influencer is, it's just somebody who makes cool, hip videos because all the kids are scrolling all the time and being brainwashed by what they see. Well, if we could get some cool, hip, I don't even think, if they said the word hip, they probably wouldn't be hip. But get some cool kids, good-looking kids to make some videos about just common sense stuff. Get a 21-year-old kid going into Target saying, "What is this? A hole for a wee-wee on a bikini top?"
It's all about vibing these days.
Right, and connecting.
Are we still in your bio?
Yeah. But just finishing up on the point of influencing is we need some younger kids. How are we going? Everybody, yeah, we need to get younger. It's easy to say that, but we got a bunch of, you like to say, use the term old white men, trying to, telling everybody, we're going to get the youth involved. Well, we've been saying that for 20, 40 years, right? How? We're going to get influencers. We're going to get young kids who realize that this is just not right. All right? I might not be, all Republican about, the Constitution and keep, don't tread on me, which I hope they evolve to do. But I can tell you that selling a penis tucker in a bikini bathing suit for a 6-year-old, that just ain't right, bro. You know what I mean? And we need...
At all.
Right, at all. I don't care where
no matter what age you are.
Right.
Exactly.
But there's humor in it too. Humor has to be truthful. It has to strike a chord. And that's why, some of these people, and that's why comedy's dead. There's so much material out there. And then you get progressives saying stuff like, oh, look, Abbott and Costello dressed up as a woman too. It was a comedy routine, you dip. Come on, think about what you're saying right now. Anyway, so yeah, we do need to get younger people involved. Organizations like organizations like TP, Turning Point USA, Young Republican Societies, or, the biggest clubs in our high schools right now are called GSA clubs. They're Gay Straight Alliance clubs. And they use that name because they want to be able to invite straight people, and oh yeah, you could be straight, just come join us. And oddly, 2 months later, the straight people who were their allies end up being gay, and it's because God made them that way, or so they say. But nonetheless,
if the straight people end up being gay, that means they weren't straight from the very beginning.
No,
well, of course, it's we get into the psychology of that, but we just need another option. We need a conservative club or a young Republicans club, or for Christ's sake, let's call it the Common Sense Club. You know what I mean? I just feel like there's so many things. We used to think that certain truths were obvious, and they're distorting that stuff, and they're doing it on purpose.
Or maybe you could have a think club, people that smart to start coming up with different ideas.
And I would love stuff like debates, they're changing the rules to the debate clubs now, so you can't say anything hateful.
Well, they got rid of the debate clubs, and if you brought this up and said, I want to make a conservative club or a thinking club, they'd shut you down, right? The school district.
Absolutely. And, and you got to understand that, first of all, this entire movement, this entire radical theory, you talk about, CRT, or you talk about, any kind of critical theory. It used to be critical economic theory, like there were the haves and the have-nots, and there was more have-nots, so we need to rise up and take over for the haves. This is the same thing, but they found in America, there was so much social mobility and the race card was just so easy and obvious. It's so easy to pick teams. Let's get women versus men. Let's get black people versus white people. And that's what was the advent of critical race theory in the early 60s by a Harvard professor. It began as a Marxist trope written in the 1930s, I believe it is, on just critical theory. It wasn't critical race theory, it was just critical theory. And it evolved into critical race theory. But the LGBTQ movement, the critical race theory movement, all of this is designed as a religion. So if you're not going to let us have a Christian group in schools, you can't let them have the anti-Christian clubs in schools. Either we need to be able to expose them to the 10 Commandments and cut off your wiener, or, take off your healthy breasts. I mean, I almost get emotional thinking about a 13-year-old girl hurting. We call the cavalry in when a 13-year-old girl cuts her wrist just a little bit to see herself bleed. But we're going to condone and endorse,
hormone therapy and stuff as a child.
And I teach these kids. They're not concerned about this stuff. Yeah. They're not. I get them all jazzed up about working hard and learning logic and solving puzzles. And whatever the adults are getting these kids jazzed up about is what they get jazzed up about. You know what I mean? If you're into go-karts or fixing cars, you probably have a kid who loves go-karts and fast cars. If you're into critical thinking and teaching math, which is kind of what I'm into, and the Constitution and yada, 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 that's what my son is kind of influenced by. If you're growing up and all you see is gender transitioning or race-based disunity or, oppressor versus oppressed stuff, it's a cancer in these child's minds. And just like I tell the kids, you could drink or even do drugs or have sex when you're an adult. Your body and your brain is forming now. It's different. If an adult does drugs and a kid does drugs, it affects your brain different. So all I'm asking you as a kid is to wait and make that decision when you're mature enough to make that decision. I'm talking about smoking a doobie or drinking a beer. I'm not even talking about taking hormones and stuff like that. I just want all the kids to learn. They're a sponge. You have 18 years to learn as much as you can. It's like a video game. You're going and you're acquiring all these abilities. And then once you turn 18, you jump into the ring and you start, seeing what you got.
Man, that's a long bio. I know we didn't get a question. Did we get a question in yet?
No,
let's go. You talk a little bit. Let me drink some Red Bull.
Mr. Bruchhagen, why in the world are you running for Clark County Republican Party chairman? And a caveat to that, I thought that the current chairman and you were bros.
Yes.
So why would you run against him? And to add on to that one,
you see how well I did with one question. Now he's going to ask me three questions.
It's a threefer. And is Chris Dyer in the race? And if so, why would he run against you?
All right, let's go backwards. Well, let's start with Chris Dyer first of all. Nephi threw his hat into the ring. Mm-hmm. And then as I was going through a real contemplation period, Chris declared his candidacy because he wanted to mess with Nephi, I think. I think Nephi is running because he's got a lot to get off his chest, and this platform will give him a bigger voice. And, whether you agree with him or not, his tactics are working. He is getting more attention. And, I think that's the number one thing. He's going to have a bigger show.
I have him on Tuesday.
Oh, good. So you'll find out from the horse's mouth. But nonetheless, just a thing I say.
Not that he's actually
he's not a horse. No,
stallion
no.
Or a mare.
No, but if he was a horse, he'd be a stallion. All right. But I think he's trying to promote, his message and promote his business, and his radio show is growing. So I think he's got his lane, And then why am I running, and why am I running against Jesse, who, either was somebody I supported a lot, or even I would consider him a friend, So let's start at the beginning. Number one, I was the person that Jill Douglas's people first approached in February. They came up to me and said, "Oh, Johnny, we hate Jesse. We, been thinking."
Hate a strong word, though.
Everybody hates someone in the CCRP. That's a good thing. Yeah, let's get rid of the word hate. I like that. But nonetheless, they came up to me and said, "Listen, we need a change in leadership. We've been meeting and talking about this for a long time. And we know, out of everybody, you're the one who can do it. We want you to represent us and run against Jesse."
Why are you the one?
Because I'm connected with everybody. I know everybody in the room. Right. I mean, I've not only do I not have any enemies, but I also don't owe anybody anything. Mm-hmm. Nobody's done something for me to get me into some sort of position. Mm-hmm. I've never done anything to get somebody else into a position. Mm-hmm. People have offered me money since they found out I was running. I said, no, donate it to the CCRP after I win, which I'm going to win. Mm-hmm. Endorsements. There's some really big names who are going all over the internet saying they endorse me. I'm not here spouting out that so-and-so is endorsing me either. I'm not bringing half of my family or all of my family and all of my friends who have never been to a CCRP meeting to 2 meetings in a row in order to whip up enough votes. I'm here because and they knew that, and everybody else knows it. I'm here for the members, not for the people who are going to show up to vote for someone, not the people who are here for 2 meetings and we're not going to see them again for another 2 years. The people who have been here for 2 years, have gone to my Facebook page to see their pictures, have gone to my podcast to find out the truth about what's going on in the Republican Party. Anybody who wants to know what happened at the last election, you go to the Johnny Brew Show, we have drone footage, we have inside footage, outside footage. We have Mac Miller, approaching the police, and we have David Sajak calling the meeting to a temporary order or whatever, postponement. I mean, we had all the coverage, and nothing was this is what's going on. This is what happened. Look on the tape. I have tape of Alita getting pushed by some guy. I'm not saying that guy's a monster, and I'm not saying Alita is a helpless little. That's the tape. That's what you see, and that's all it was. And I developed this trust, and that's why I'm able. I mean, you've seen me at the meetings. I go up to people, and I like portrait mode in my iPhone. So I end up going real close to people. You know what I mean? So I'm not just taking pictures from across the room. I'm walking up to get right in their face, smile, and making sure that, they're standing with the people they want to be seen with. And I'm the only one in the room who could do that. You know what I mean? Chris Dyer is in the media. If Chris Dyer was going around putting a phone in people's face, 50% of them would be like, get the hell out of here, kid. But that's why they knew that I was the right one for the job. And with my experience in business, with my my public speaking ability and my ability I might be a little bit long-winded, but that's only because I want my point to be fully understood, because there's a lot of nuance to a lot of these arguments. So they asked me to do it, and I was really, for a couple of days, oh yeah, I could do this and I could do that. And then I snapped out of it. I was like, no, I own a business, I teach, I, may or may not have a podcast coming back on the air. I might run for school board maybe. I was kicking that around, thinking about that. And most of all, I still have faith in Jesse.
So you talked to Jesse about this?
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that part. I'm sorry, I know. All right, so then some time went by and different people would be like, hey, do you ever think about running? Da, 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 da. And then some people came up to me and said, listen, I know you like Jesse, but we're finding out some stuff about him, and we need you to run. Like, we need you to run, because since then, the people who I initially said no to went to Dave Crete. Dave Crete ran in 21, and he didn't get a lot of votes, and he found out some information about nuclear radiation leakage from some secret dark site for military, and where people were getting sick, like from the asbestos and the Camp Lejeune. This was nuclear leakage that people were getting sick and dying from. But Dave wasn't able to get any traction because those people were at a dark site. There was no record that they were even there. So these people are dying, and there's no record of what happened. And Dave Crete was trying to help these people out for a long time. Finally, when the Republicans won the House, there were some people who were saying, oh, we're going to take a look at this for you, Dave. And Dave withdrew his name, and now they were on the look for another candidate. So then they settled on Jill Douglas, because she was the president of a women's group or whatnot. Right. And they were part of that group or an affiliated group. And they said, oh, yeah, we like Jill. Let's get Jill to run. So then it turned into a Jill versus Jesse thing. And everybody I talked to would say, oh, no, I don't like Jesse Law. I'm going to be voting for Jill Douglas. And then I talked to somebody else. Oh, no, I don't like Jill Douglas. I'm going to vote for Jesse. And I'm thinking, this is what everybody's voting on. You can't be voting because you don't like someone. I mean, that's the silliest thing. What kind of a leader, is somebody that is settled on? I don't.
You're gonna vote for a person that can or
that
cannot
will
do the
lead
job.
and inspire you.
Yes.
You need to be inspired. We need to be excited. We need to show up and feel like we got something done, and we need to see results. So that way you go home and you tell your husband or your wife, look at that. We did that. We did that. That's the kind of pride that people want to have in the work that we do. So it turned into that. And then I was approached, and they're telling me, listen, we found out, and I'm like, they're like, if you tell us you're going to run for chairman, we'll tell you what the stuff is. And I'm like, I don't want to know. when you release it to the public or whatnot, I'll find out about it. And, I'm not, I'm losing faith in Jesse because all of a sudden, the past couple of months we're losing venues, the meetings are getting changed. And this is what we ran against in 21. In 21, we didn't have any meetings because of COVID, because of Jewish holidays, because of threats of violence.
Sorry, do you think the reason why he was losing these venues is because people were working against him?
That very well may be the case. And I'm going to talk about a lot of things that I know for a fact, like that we lost a venue. The why, the connecting the dots. If Jesse is innocent.
Because I like Ahern Hotel.
So do I.
It's central, it's easy to get to.
Right.
And,
right.
Then
Right,
drive
it's
all the
not
way
a
out
church,
to
it's not a
Stoney's
bar.
or the Silverton.
I think it's really great that it's not a church and it's not a bar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Not that I have anything. I love churches. I'm down with going to Stoney's. It's a great venue for a holiday party.
I thought you're supposed to separate church from state.
I don't like that saying. What? Because Thomas Jefferson wrote that in a letter to a college professor stating that, listen, if somebody's praying, we're not going to do anything to bother them because there's a separation of church and state. That's the only time that has ever been brought up by a founding fathers. And it was to protect religion from the state, not the people from religion. So I'm sorry, that struck a nerve with me.
Good answer.
I don't like that saying. But like I said, so we lost the venues and the meetings are getting postponed. Yeah. I still supported Jesse. I knew a little bit of what was going on with that, but not everything. And it's not my job to connect the dots. Excuse me.
Right.
So, but nonetheless, it was frustrating because that's something we were so upset about 2 years earlier. Every meeting got canceled. People wanted to go to 2 meetings in a row and nobody could go. Then they had virtual meetings where they didn't accept new members. And it felt like it was a ploy to manipulate the election. Mm-hmm. Now, this could have nothing to do with nothing, but we're going through the same thing for the March and May meetings leading up to the July meeting. We're having the same exact problems. So that was a little bit frustrating to me. Jesse, again, I consider Jesse a friend. I still do. But, we would play music together and stuff like that. And I got to know him a little bit. And like I said, I would consider him a friend more than just an acquaintance. But even you, Steve, I seen you at all the CCRP meetings, but I wouldn't necessarily say we were friends. Mm-hmm. But I know a little bit about you. I know you were a Marine. I know, you tell your story about some of the things you've seen. I know you're really into fighting for fathers' rights and having, just courts and true justice.
Yeah, it's not just fathers' rights. Just want to.
Right. I'm just saying. But
mother's rights too, parental rights.
Okay, I'm saying I just know something about you. I'm close. I'm barking up the right tree. Okay. Mike McDonald. I've never met you, or maybe we've shook hands before, but I know a little bit about you. Yeah. Sally Minster. She's not a friend, but she's somebody I see just as often as you. I know she's got a pool company. I know that, she's a grandmother. I know she went to college in Arizona. Just little things I know about.
So you're personable.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know nothing. I never knew nothing about Jesse. Like I knew he had a son. I just found out the other day, 2 days ago, that he's got 3 kids. Mm-hmm. I never knew that. Everybody knows I have a son if you're friends with me on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I know, like I said, where Sally works. I never knew where Jesse worked. And I asked him. I said, hey, it's weird. I'm a consultant. Mm-hmm. And again, he's a friend. He's not on the stand, so I'm not going to. Bullshit. What do you mean you're a consultant? He didn't want to necessarily say. And that's fine. This is me personally. This isn't the CCRP. Right. This is me as a person feeling like, what's up with that, And then in April, there was an article in the Nevada Independent talking about Vinco Industries and how.
In fact, I don't like John Ralston, the owner of Nevada Independent. I think he's just a pompous ass. John Ralston, you're a pompous asshole. Just put that out there.
The views expressed by veterans in politics do not necessarily. Where was it? Oh, so nonetheless, I found out in a newspaper article that he worked for Vinco Industries. And I was like, what? And then, so I look up Vinco Industries, and they just brokered a deal between the National Enquirer and A36 or all this stuff. And David Pecker is the owner of the National Enquirer. He's been trying to sell it for 6 years. And again, I'm just telling you what I know. I'm not telling you how to connect the dots. But David Pecker testified, and then Trump got indicted. That's weird. And so Trump gets indicted right after David Pecker testifies, right after Jesse's company brokers a deal to buy the National Enquirer, in which all of the burn stories or whatever, like the National Enquirer would say, oh, Steve, we found out you were smoking pot at the casino. So we are going to run the story, or you could give us $50,000, because they figured the story's worth $50,000 if they publish. Right. And
I don't know why they call it blackmail, but that's what it's called.
Racism.
It's called extortion.
But nonetheless, and then you would decide, okay, I'll give you $50,000, and they put it in a safe. Or you say, screw you, I don't care. I was smoking pot in the casino, go with it. And then they publish it and they make $50,000. Well, apparently they got all these burn stories about Trump for years at the National Enquirer. And, so it's a liability for Trump, for the National Enquirer to trade. Again, I don't know how these things work. I don't know what happens with those NDA agreements.
Sorry, I know they mentioned about Vencor Industry and how Jesse's on the board and he's making $10,000 a month. Are people jealous of the fact that he's making $10,000 a month? Shouldn't he not be able to support himself? And is it some type of conflict of interest because he's the county chair and he's sitting on this board?
Well, I'm talking to you about my personal experience. Okay. I have never, and we're going to get into more stuff, but I've never called for him to resign. I hope he steps down because he realizes that I'm going to win and I'm the unity candidate.
But why do you think it's a big deal that he's on the board of this Vencor Industry?
All right. Well, first, the biggest thing is because he was recruited there by a gentleman, Theodore Farnsworth or something, who was just arrested and convicted of doing pump and dump schemes. What they do is say Veterans in Politics is a organization that's traded on the NASDAQ. Then we go on TV and we say, oh my God, Veterans in Politics just struck a deal with the PAA podcast, the Nevada and the Johnny Brew Show. So Veterans in Politics is about to become the #1 network here in Nevada.
We're already number one. Are we already number one?
So everybody buys Veterans in Politics stock, saying, I want to be on board, right? So now your stock goes from $10 to $30. But the real Veterans in Politics knew that none of this was really going to happen. Right. So they wanted to get out. But instead of getting out at $10, they pump up the stock with fake news stories. Then all the people who are Veterans in Politics sell all their stock, leaving the investors to hold the bag. And then the stock goes from 10 to 35 down to 1. And everybody loses their money. But the people who just destroyed Veterans in Politics all walk away very rich men. So apparently this guy was convicted of doing exactly that.
Or not like insider trading with the Martha Stewart thing?
They call it pump and dump. You know, I'm not an expert. I'm just trying to keep up.
Right. I'm trying to follow.
So apparently before this, Jesse was on a couple other boards that this Farnsworth controlled, and the same thing happened. Now, I don't know. I have no proof that Jesse was involved in pumping and dumping. I have no proof that he was malicious or ineffective. Well, ineffective, I do have proof of, because if you consider the backward split, when Jesse took that position on the board of directors, the stock was worth almost $20 a share. Now, 9 months later, it's worth $1 a share or $1.17
so you think
a
he
share.
had something to do with that?
Well, he's the board of directors. I mean, if the Clark County Republican Party has a problem, it goes to the board and the chairman. So he got hired at a company and their stock price was at $20. And when he got on board the company, you could see the forecast for this particular company was very rosy. He lost 95% of everybody's money, or had a hand in it, or
But when you say he, how many people are on the board? I mean, it's not by
here's the deal.
himself, right?
There's 5 people.
Okay.
So this is how I do business. So I heard about all this. And, I also heard that Sigal Chada was suing Jesse Law. So what do? I called Jesse. I said, Jesse, there's allegations that you're getting sued personally over this stuff, And Jesse said, I'm an innocent bystander. I'm not really involved in the day-to-day. I go there, once every month, and I sit on a board meeting, and that's it. I'm like,
$10,000 a month? That's pretty cool.
Now you sound jealous.
I might slightly be a little jealous.
That was the gotcha. I was building up to that.
Wouldn't you be a little jealous, Mike?
So,
Is there an opening?
there is. The story ends. Wait till I get to the end of the story. There is an opening.
Maybe we could raise the stock price from one day.
We probably could raise it up.
So I went to Jesse and he said, listen, I'm not involved in the day-to-day. I sit on the board. I really don't even know what's really going on over there. And I was, all right, I called Sigal. I go, Sigal, are you suing Jesse? And she's like, no. She's like, no. She's representing some people, investors in Vinco, that are suing Vinco. And something or other, she sent me copies of the court papers just to show, she's not. So rumors run rampant. And that's why I don't really, the only reason I even said those rumors is because I debunked them right away. I just want to give examples of how I know these things aren't true. Because I went to Jesse. I went to Sigal. And then I went to the people who are suing Jesse. And I wrote them. And I said to them,
who are these people, by the way?
Investors.
Okay.
Investors all over the country who are, some of them lost all of their retirement, all of their life savings, and others, it was a part of their portfolio, whatever. But I said to them, I go, listen, with all due respect, guys, could Jesse, Jesse says he was an innocent, or I didn't even say that. I said something like, I have a copy of it, but I said something to the effect is, could Jesse have been an innocent bystander? Are you just suing him because he was on the board? Or is there something in particular that Jesse Law did personally? Yeah. And they outlined the stuff like the stock price. They outlined stuff like first of all, there's a report that is supposed to be filed every year to the SEC to make sure they're in compliance. That report is now a year old. It was supposed to be finally 10 months late, delivered in May or June, but now it's been postponed one more time to July 25th. 1 week after the CCRP election, which is going to be the report that outlines exactly how all this money was lost, where all this money went. Right. So in order for them to make certain decisions, they have to get shareholder approval. So the board can do some things, just like the CCRP. The board can do certain things, but we need the CCRP membership to vote on certain things. Right. So what the shareholders are saying is the way they were able to pull this off is they issued additional stock, or what's called preferred stock. And again, I'm not totally hip to everything that these vocabulary words mean, but the way I understand a preferred stock is like you give it to preferred people. So hypothetically speaking, I got 10 shareholders over there and I need, 25% to call a special shareholder meeting. Well, I give preferred stock to 4 people. Then we have a vote. The 4 shareholders say, yeah, let's have a secret meeting. And now I could write down on the minutes, the shareholders approved this meeting, even though the real shareholders don't know what's going on. Okay. And so they were able to enact certain things and do whatever it is they were doing. They announced the acquisition of the National Enquirer. And some people are telling me, and I haven't seen this on a line item myself, so I won't even say it. But you're talking about entities that we are fighting. Like you talk about World Economic Forum, you talk about crony capitalism, you talk about, I am a capitalist. And that's why I hate crony capitalism more than anything, because you're ruining capitalism. The only bad thing about capitalism is crony capitalism, monopolies, what's the word I'm looking for? All the railroads are together, but, where they're all working together, say there's 5 social media companies. Well, if they all make a rule that you can't say, COVID is, the common cold, then then there is no competition. It's not like we go to Facebook instead of Twitter or instead of MySpace. You know, they all have the same policy. So that's antitrust is the word I was looking for. So they're convinced that this is, you know, part of the reason why this all went down. And if Jesse didn't have a malicious hand in it, they say to me that he knew enough that he should have blown the whistle and gotten out. For example, Ross Miller. Ross Miller and
that's a $10,000 a month job. I mean, that's a hard thing to go blow the whistle on for some people.
Since Jesse's taken over, they've never achieved compliance with their quarterly or hourly annual filings. This is his particular responsibility because he's on the audit committee. They have less than $5 million in cash right now, so the company is about to go bankrupt. And he's on the committee for finance, on the audit committee, so that's his responsibility. Their primary asset, Lomatov, which I believe Jesse used to work for, has been defunct, but there's no explanation. Nobody knows what's going on. He was or is on the board of Lomatov as well. And then he colluded with the rest of the board.
Lomatov, what is that?
It's another company.
What do they do?
I don't know, man. I'm trying to keep up. I can't. They're trying to explain.
But let me hold on a second, just Mike. How does him being on the board of this Venco, how does that make him an ineffective? Since he's the one you run against, how does that make him an ineffective leader for the Clark County Republican Party?
Do you remember?
And I'm using that word ineffective. Is that a fair word to use? Is that a word that you would use?
What, ineffective?
Yeah, because you would run against somebody that's effective, right?
I want to.
Would you run against somebody that's doing the job in your?
No, nobody would be. Nobody would be.
Okay, so you run against him because he's not doing the job in your estimation.
No,
right?
I'm running because I've lost my faith in him. I hope, I pray that he is an innocent bystander. All this is fine. But when you talk about, for example, the fake elector scheme where McDonald and Graffenried just signed an immunity agreement and Jesse didn't, he's going to have to feel the weight of the DOJ because you know the DOJ is coming after conservatives. You know, and I agree with what he did. Just like in 1960 with JFK in Hawaii.
You're talking about Michael McDonald, state party chairman, who signed off on the electors saying that Trump.
Six people did. Six of them did. Two of them was McDonald and Graffenried, who signed immunity deals after pleading the Fifth.
The National Party chairman.
Right, and they signed immunity deals.
I'm just saying that so people got to keep up.
Right. Oh well, yeah. So I mean, about a while, after the election, six people, just like JFK had in Hawaii, sent in electors not to Congress but to the archives. So that way, if they found out there was cheating in Nevada or there was a miscount or whatever the case may be, we need to inaugurate this guy. You know what I mean? Oh, we don't have to wait for electors to come in. The electors are with the archives just in case, we found out that Trump actually got our 6 electors. Here we go. Here's the 6 Republican electors. We'll throw the Democrat ones in the archive. So they said that's what they did. And it's been done before, like I said, most notably, but other times as well for JFK in Hawaii, which proved to be very smart move. And so the DOJ is investigating this as if this was like an election fraud or conspiracy or something like that. It's a whole bunch of hogwash.
Well, the Fed's been trying to get Michael McDonald state party chairman for a very long time, going all the way back to the G-Sting operation with Mike Glotty.
Right, I know. I heard a lot of people got in trouble for that.
I mean, they've been trying to go after him for a minute. Do you think that this was some type of scheme to try to get him?
I do. Absolutely. Absolutely. I absolutely think that this is ridiculous. And they just did what other patriots in history have done before. My point is, and why I'm concerned and why I'm running for chairman, is that now Jesse doesn't have that immunity agreement, and we know the DOJ is going to be prosecuting Republicans. He's going to feel the weight of that coming up real soon. And one of his biggest excuses for not getting anything done in the last 2 years is because of the weight of all the lawsuits coming down from the other Republican Party, which Jill Douglas doesn't even recognize our CCRP. I heard her on your show. She doesn't even believe that Jesse Law is the chairman. She said that we stole the party. So I'm starting to lose faith in Jill. But nonetheless, Jesse's going to have that burden. And I wish him the best in that. These shareholders are pissed at Jesse. And he's going to have lawsuits from not only that, but there's also Zaf or Zash.
Okay, so sorry. Are you saying that because of all these lawsuits and legal activities that's working against
he's
law,
going to have his handful?
Is that going to make him an effective leader?
And is that
currently?
going to tarnish our reputation?
Is that what you're saying?
Even that's part of it.
Okay.
And, is that going to tarnish our reputation that every other week we're going to have an article in the Review Journal about how our fearless leader is going to court in New York City, is going to court in
therefore, the
Washington,
Republican
D.C.
Party will be dismantled or going separate ways.
Well, that's another reason.
It won't be one voice. Is that what you're saying?
That's one reason, is the fact that he's going to be under it, meaning our reputation as well as his time will be taking up.
Well, let me ask you another question. If it wasn't for this Vencor, is Jesse Law an effective leader currently for the Clark County Republican Party?
Okay, well, let's see. I mean, there's a lot more.
Because that's who you're running against. That's who you're trying to unseat.
Well, the
purpose
of the CCRP shall be as follows. This is the bylaws. Okay. To act as the sole affiliate of the Nevada Republican Party and VGOP and representing Clark County. Okay, he's done that. To recruit, develop, and elect Republican public officials representing Clark County at the state and local levels.
Has he done that?
I don't know. I think we have a super minority, and we're one vote away from a super minority in the two houses. I think the Clark County Commission is made up of 7 Democrats.
They are.
I don't know how much Jesse recruited, developed, and elected any of the proper Republicans. It was an uphill battle. We did recruit a couple of good people, for example, as the aforementioned John Petrick and Drew Johnson. But did we develop them? Did we elect them?
Uh-huh.
Big lack for.
All right, so we're 1 for 2. Let's see number 3. To promote sound, honest, and representative government at the state and local levels. Do you think we have sound judgment in the way we're treating our kids at CCSD? Do you think we have sound judgment by, allowing some of the things that we're allowing, whether you're talking about the influx of illegal immigrants or you're talking about the violence at schools and the violence, just in the everyday life in Eastern and Northern Las Vegas? Honest government? Representative government? Is Nevada a super majority of Democrats?
But isn't that the state party chairman's job?
I'm just reading you the purpose of the CCRP.
Okay.
Number 4, to preserve and protect the dignity, rights, freedom, and liberty of the individual citizen. My business was shut down. My livelihood was shut down. That does not sound like dignity. My rights.
Okay, how could a county chairman control
I'm just reading the CCRP, the purpose. I mean, maybe we should rewrite this.
That sounds
this kind of sounds
because it sounds like it's broader than a county party chairman's call of duty.
And then finally, to protect the Republican brand by recruiting, training, and promoting candidates for I feel like I was promoting candidates on the Johnny Bruce show, and you were promoting candidates on VIP a hell of a lot more than the CCRP. At the CCRP, we were going to a bar so the same 20 people could tell the same 20 people the same 20 speeches we've heard for the past 20 days. Why don't we go to 3 Square and donate some time?
That's going to bring me into a lot of questions for you. I mean, are you done with that one? Hold on. While you're working on that, do you believe that, because I know I asked Jill Douglas this before, do you believe that the county party should rally around recycled candidates that lost lower races consistently, losing lower races, and then rally around them for a much bigger race?
This is the perfect example of where we're coming up short. We need to have a plan, not only for 24, but 26 and 28.
Answer that question for me.
I'm telling you, do you think Jim Marchand or Drew Johnson was in the plans for Jesse Law and Mike McDonald to run in 24? No, they should have won already. So obviously we have no forward looking. We have no bench. We have people, we have some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. Take Sam Brown, Sherelle Mendenhall, Joey Gilbert, anybody who can really fire up the base. We need to encourage them to spend 2 years in the Nevada Assembly. Get your feet wet. Do some good, and then you're going to cruise. Jim Marchand had the right idea. He went from assembly and he tried to, progress up the ladder, and he came up short with
with all due respect, with Marchand lost his assembly race. He was the incumbent. Okay. He ran for Secretary of State, right? And he lost that. And he ran for Congress and he lost that, right?
Huh.
And he ran for Secretary of State and he lost that. Huh. And now he's going to try to go for U.S. Senate. The problem I have with the Republican Party is that they rally around people that are going to lose the general election.
Fiercely.
They rally around, they push people to win the primary. And then when it comes for the big trophy, I mean, that's the whole purpose, is to get the big trophy, right? When it comes for the big trophy, they lose.
Right.
So why do Republicans consistently rally around losers and crossing their fingers, and hopefully they'll win something one day? Why is that?
The CCRP is here to represent all Republicans.
True.
So if Jim Marchand wants to run for president, I got his back. I'm going to support him in some way. I'm not saying that.
Strategic.
I'm going to get to absolutely. Absolutely. We should be working. People like Tony Lane and John Petrick have a plan. John Petrick is a doctor. He's got plenty of money. He's got a great life. All right. I could see him.
Does he have his doctorate, or is a chiropractor a doctor?
Oh my God. Are you an anti-dentite or an
I'm just
you got something against dentists and chiropractors?
No.
Jesus, Steve, this VIP. I do not condone what he's saying.
Could a chiropractor prescribe medication? Because I was always told that when you're a doctor, you could prescribe medication. A dentist could prescribe medication.
Can Dr. Jill Biden prescribe medication?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, is he a doctor of economics or a doctor of medicine or what?
I know his hands have changed lives and given people mobility and value and quality of life that they wouldn't have had if John Petrick didn't exist.
I'll respect that.
So I'll call him a healer. Can we all agree?
I'll respect that.
All right. The healer, John Petrick, and the worker, Drew Johnson, right? Oh, but I was talking about Tony Lane. These are people. John Petrick has the money, and he's been on TV. He worked with the UFC. He could have run for a bigger office like lieutenant governor, or he could have ran for, Congress or something. But he decided to run for assembly because he wanted to begin his career. And his values are right in lockstep with all of us. There's not some weird toenail hanging out that we got to worry like he doesn't like veterans or he doesn't like, some demographic of people. And he lost his assembly seat by 1%. What is he doing next? Is he running for governor?
He's running for assembly.
He's running for the same office. He's building upon the foundation that he began. And do you think he wants to be in assembly for the rest of his life? No, he's got grand plans. He's going to change the world one step at a time.
But with all due respect, President Trump never ran for any political seat and ran directly for president of these United States, which is the highest position ever.
Give me one other person that you would put in the same realm as Donald Trump.
Well,
go for it.
Well,
thank you.
I can't. I can't.
So you can't call out some anomaly. All right. Sure. Can Oprah Winfrey maybe? If Oprah Winfrey ran for governor in Nevada, could she come out of nowhere and win? Probably.
Yes.
All right. But John Petrick, nor Jim Marchand, nor Steve Sanson is Donald Trump or Oprah Winfrey. You know what I mean? So you can't take some crazy example. You want to talk about a concrete example?
Let's talk about Marchand for a little bit, okay? Because you keep bringing him up. I
don't bring him up. You brought him up.
Marchand lost three races in a row. Every single election year, I think he went back 20, 22. No, it was 18, 20, 22, all lost. And now he's going to run for United States Senate. Isn't that problematic? Because we all know that he is not going to win against Jackie Rosen. There is no way in hell. And I've been betting people. I asked people to bet me $1,000 that any male Republicans is going to win a U.S. Senate race, and nobody will take my bet. Would you take my bet?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Thank you.
But I want you to be.
But I don't understand. I mean, if the party bosses know that a male is not going to win, and if they know that a recycled candidate that consistently losing his race 3 races in a row, and one of those races he was the incumbent and lost.
Right.
And now we're going to promote him in the United States Senate. If you were the district manager for a retail store, right, and your cashier was just a terrible cashier, would you promote that cashier to team leader? Would you promote that cashier to management? Would you promote that cashier to district manager? You would not.
Steve,
you would not.
Listen,
there needs to be mentorship, though. There's not
True, there needs to be mentorship. There needs to be somebody going out to these candidates and say, look here, the Democrats are doing it.
You need to recruit candidates, find the right position, and then train them and show them how to get the exposure, how to reach the undecided voter, and how to motivate the lazy Republican. That's what we need to do.
I do want to bring up one thing. Jim Marchant, he did when I ran for office. He actually did videos for the people that were running and was doing endorsements and trying to help build up those Republicans. I appreciated that because that was the only support I ever had in the Republican.
And when you have nothing, boy, you could really appreciate that.
I appreciate at least he had a plan. As the incumbent in the seat, he was endorsing other candidates and helping to build that.
What would you think about spending a half hour with me working on your public speaking? We're sitting down with a speechwriter to work on your talking
doing
points.
Toastmaster or something, yes.
Getting quizzed. I'm going to say, what about abortion? Now, Michael, I need you to bring this back to the Constitution. All right, you ready? So what do you think about abortion? Do you Republicans want to, kill women because they're pregnant? And let's train and let's practice bringing it back.
Do they even know the Constitution in the first place? The 14th Amendment.
There you go. The last thing you want to do is go in front of a crowd and not know what Article 2 of the Constitution is, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
especially if you're a Republican. Yeah.
Let's get back to what's important. All right. What's important is winning races. All right. We won 3 races. That's it. Now, Lombardo, I don't care if it was Joey Gilbert, Johnny Brew, or Joe Lombardo. Sisolak was not going to win. All right, you're a nonpartisan. You got your ear to the street. I got my ear to the street. I
call him Sisolak and tell him he wasn't going to win.
No way. It didn't matter if it was Joey or Joe. All right, I know the people were never, ever, ever going to vote for Sisolak again. So that's another anomaly. So there's 2 races we won. All right, we won Stavros Anthony and we won the controller Andy Matthews. Right,
likable Republican. Stavros.
Why did they win?
Because they pulled from the Democrats. I think the Democrat voters came and rallied around Stavros Anthony and Joe Lombardo.
I'm more root. Go ahead.
And there's a lot of Republicans that was more in love with Stavros.
Right.
And I don't say so much about Lombardo, but they were more in love with Stavros.
Forget about
Lombardo. More in love with
Andy
Stavros because Stavros is a very likable candidate, and a lot of people like him across the aisle. And probably a lot of independents rallied around him too.
Right. And let me boil it down to one sentence, which should be the goal for 24. Stavros Anthony and Andy Matthews had every Republican rowing in the same direction. The only ones. And if we're going to be a united party, if we're going to be a front, and if we're going to turn Nevada red, we have to agree to get all on board. All right? If Stephanie Phillips wins, if James Marchant wins, if whoever wins, we are all in, and we will never, after the primary, speak badly about one. If you don't like the guy who's running, if Jim Marchant wins the primary and he's going and you think he doesn't have a prayer to win, you want to make a side bet in your living room with Michael McDonald for $100, go for it. But when you're on this camera, I need you to say, I believe in Jim Marchant. I've said some things about him earlier, but I know that he's better than the alternatives.
If my organization truly believes he could win, because you got to once again remember, we are a nonpartisan group, and a lot of people can't. Although we're heavily conservative, but we're nonpartisan.
And you on your show is different. But if you don't have something nice to say, Don't say it at all.
If something that I have to say actually affects that race and it's not nice, I'm going to say it.
You're a little bit different, Steve. You're a personality. You're a TV personality. I'm talking about the membership of the Clark County Republican Party.
Okay,
I'm talking to, I don't care if you're Susan Prophet or Natalie Thomas. You know what I mean? If some Republican that you might not like, and who's the only person who could get them both on the phone right now? Who's the only person?
Who's that?
I could call Susan Prophet or Natalie Thomas and have them answer.
Is that you?
Absolutely.
Because you made a statement in your coming out speech, and you said that if Jesse wins, half the party is going to go this way. If Jill Douglas wins, half the party is going to go that way, and you're the uniter. How are you that uniter?
I just told you.
Because
I'm the
you
only person. I'm telling you, no matter
what gifts do you have that makes you stand out?
I have a
from
contagious enthusiasm. I'm genuine and friendly to everybody. I care what everybody thinks. I want everybody to have a good time. Why do you think I'm running around like an idiot taking pictures of everybody? Because I want you guys to, look, there I am. There's Chris Dyer.
I thought you were opening up a photo studio. Didn't we think he was going to open up a photo studio?
See, I've never had a cent given to me for my podcast, for my photos, for my videos, for my live streams. I'm trying to
You sound like us.
Fun.
Nobody pays us either. But let me ask you something. If you do become county chairman.
When?
Okay. I can't say when. I got to say if because I don't know. I don't have that crystal ball.
You cover your bases there, Steve.
If you do become county chairman, are you going to be that county chairman that's going to go and meet up with the county chairman from the Libertarian Party and the county chairman from the Independent American Party and say, look, fellas, because you guys are taking votes away from my candidate, because that's true. Because if a Libertarian IAP jumps into a race, they only take votes, majority of times, only take votes away from the Republican side. They don't really touch the Democrat side. Are you willing to work with them and strategize? Because that's what you got to do to win races. You have to strategize.
Well, let's address a couple of things really quick. Number one, I hate the stupid attacks. All right. Like, for example, Jesse's job might not sit well with me. Jesse's telling people I'm a libertarian at heart. Whatever. You know what I mean?
You're a libertarian at heart.
I wouldn't say I in some respects, and in others, no,
Right.
But the libertarian platform is very similar to the Republican platform, unless you talk about issues such as abortion or foreign policy.
Sure.
Abortion, I'm probably not a libertarian. Foreign policy, I might be a little bit, in some respects. So let's, take it easy with that. And then as far as libertarians in general.
What do you mean by take it easy with that?
About attacking Jesse because he told somebody that he has libertarian beliefs.
Okay.
So, that's a joke. You know what I mean?
It's something that Jill Douglas said on
come on. And Nephi said, we're really digging a little too hard. You know what I mean? I'm not here to trash Jesse. I'm here to say, Jesse, take care of your business. I hope you didn't do something malicious. And if that's the case, I'll steward the ship and give it back to you in 24. I still consider him a friend. I'm still rooting for him. But libertarians, right now it's 2023. I love libertarians. 2024, I hate libertarians.
Why?
Because they believe in the things that I believe in. They believe in freedom. Leave me the hell alone. Less government. I love that. I'm down. I could,
You're being condescending then.
Well, no, I love that. I agree with them. We could talk. We could have a beer. We could, agree with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but unfortunately, our system's a two-party system.
And that's why in even years, I hate libertarians. In odd years, I love them. In even years, I hate them. And we need to your point. I'm not going to go maybe to the chairman, but that's not on my priority list. But on my priority list is Mindy Robinson. I'm going to tell Mindy Robinson, I need your influence. I need your following. I need your fresh face, and I need your loud mouth to start promoting conservatism here in Clark County. Because she's great at what she does.
She is. Do you believe? But I don't know if you answered my question. Do you believe that the Libertarians IAP are taking votes away from the Republican Party in the general election?
Well, of course, and that is something.
Are you willing to have some type of meeting to kind of strategize how you place candidates with the IAP and the LIB?
I am, but I don't want to get into any kind of deals.
Okay.
People have come to me. I'll vote for you if you do this.
I've heard that.
Right. Guess which finger I'm giving them.
Yeah.
No. No. I want to steward the ship for the members.
Okay.
Will you promise not to endorse candidates? No. Will you promise to endorse candidates before No. No, I have my ideas and I have things, but I'm not running to put the Republican Party in some fantastical vision that I have for, euphoria. I'm here so all the people that are sitting there in the crowd saying, why don't we do this?
Okay, let me ask you.
Can be heard.
Let me, since we're going down that road, the open primary question was on the last ballot. Okay, do you think an open primary would hurt the party or
Yes.
would help the party?
No.
And
expand
explain.
upon that? Well, listen, I'm going to be treating, first of all, there's a matrix. A matrix. We're going to need, 60, 70 people to make a weekly commitment. And we're going to need 500 people to make a monthly commitment. Saying, hey, once a month for 2 hours, I'm going to come down and I'm going to help get this done. Whether it's ballot harvesting, poll observing, phone calls, walks, micros, whatever the case may be. But it's going to be a matrix. In that matrix is going to be a part of candidates, and that will have candidate development and stuff like that. But besides the candidates for each race, we're going to have a team monitoring all of the ballot questions and all of the nonpartisan races. Because we have for far too long been ignoring the school board, and then you wonder why we have 19% of registrars under 25 years old are Republican. Because we have no presence there. You know what I mean? So we're going to need to have an understanding of all the ballot questions and all the non-party. I'm doing this because I'm looking at the matrix I'm doing to show how it's set up. Because we're going to have to address each of those. And those ballot questions and stuff like that take money. And, you talk about, for example, Brittany Sheehan did a lot of work in California to expel some stupid ballot question that they had going in California, which obviously California is a blue state. Well, she was able to work, I think it was with one of the guy just got elected to the House of Representatives, Kevin Klingsman or something like that. And they were able to defeat that ballot measure. Now, unfortunately, defeating ballot measures costs a lot of money. But I don't think we have a CCRP in 10 years if we lose this fight. So we have to be all in on especially that particular ballot measure. And you just talk about ballot measures in general, man. The branding. The Democrats are kicking our ass on branding. Whether you're talking about a stupid ballot question or you're talking about the big picture of how
they're strategic. And it brings me
diabolical.
Yeah, it brings me because they talk to their candidates. It brings me to this question and sugar pies, man. It was just in my head.
Sorry.
And I just lost it. Man, my short timer is kicking in. But do you believe, I'm going to think about the other question, man. I got another one. Do you believe that the Republican Party in Clark County is actively helping candidates run for election? And the reason why I say this, Mr. Bruchhagen, is the fact that the public administrator's race, Patsy Brown was the nominee for the party. She ran against Pat Cassell.
Right, I know, and I was a big Pat fan.
Patsy Brown was the nominee for the party for the public administration race. But as what I found out, the Republican Party, Clark County, never helped her. What would you do as a county chairman to make sure that you give every resource possible to every single candidate that makes it out of the primary?
Did Patsy Brown have an R next to her name and was
Yes.
she running for public office?
Yes.
We got her back. All right? Listen, John Petrick, right? I keep talking about John Petrick. He's great.
Yeah,
John Petrick's great. I'm a big John Petrick fan.
You mean if you were chairman, you got her back and you're going to help?
Yeah, if somebody defeats John Petrick, even though I love John Petrick, I got their back.
Did the party raise any money for her? Did they help promote her?
Listen,
Did they
it
run
depends on who
events
you
for-
ask. All right, Vem Miller was on last night and he said the party was wonderful to him. All right, John Petrick said they were okay. Other people say they were horrible. It depends on who you ask.
That's true.
I don't know.
That's
what
a fair
the-
statement.
So you're talking about, a lot of gray area and everybody's got a different opinion on what that is. What I envision And again, this is an idea, not my hard and fast rule, but what I envision is a baseline service for all Republican and nonpartisan conservative candidates. Listen, if we want regular people like Johnny Brew, or regular people like teachers or dealers or valets or mine workers or whatever we could get, the person who represents our values, that's who we want in office. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to have the money to get websites, to do public appearances. There's certain things we can offer a baseline service. All right. Steve Sanson, you're busy, but you decided that your friends convinced you to run for school board. Okay. You got a website? No. You got a campaign manager? No. You got an idea? No. All right. Well,
I know what it is. I know what it is, Mr. Bruchhagen. And here it goes. These candidates that you never see ever in any political clubs, or any county parties. You never see them nowhere. All of a sudden they show up. I'm running for U.S. Senate. Bill Conrad, for example. I haven't seen him at any political clubs, any women clubs, any men clubs, any type of Republican activity. All of a sudden he's running for the highest seat in the state for U.S. Senate. How do we allow?
I'm not the principal here.
I'm going to.
I ain't allowing nobody. Bill Conrad, you're not allowed to run for Senate.
No, I'm not saying that. But how do we rally? How do we rally around candidates that has not rallied around or given to the party to begin with, and then come to the party
like Jill Douglas,
and then
you shouldn't be taking sides, bro.
And then come to the party.
I thought you were nonpartisan.
And ask for votes.
You're throwing Jill Douglas right under the bus.
What's wrong with you,
bro? We're live.
I'm not talking about Jill Douglas.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who are we talking about?
I'm talking about Bill Conrad.
Oh, you see? Yeah.
How do we rally? How do we rally around candidates that wants to run for public office but never participated in any of the Republican clubs or the county party or the state party for that matter? How do we do that?
But let me give you a couple examples of how the Bill Conrad situation would have come about.
Sure.
First thing, Bill Conrad announces that he's going to run. All right. Number one, when I'm chair, people will know that they need to give us a call because we're here to help and we're eager to help. I mean, that branding is going to happen. Let's pretend it's today. Okay. I call up Bill. Hey, Bill, it's John Bruchhagen, the chairman of the, yeah, John, how you doing? I was wondering, can you take a meeting? I heard you announced. I'd like to find out more about you, what we can do to help you and what you could do to help us. So he comes down. Bill, what's your motivation for running? All right. Why this office? Why now? What experience do you have? All right. Then we could see. I would much rather, and I want to put this out there, if you're thinking of running for office, come see me. Don't decide you're going to run for Senate. Don't decide you're going to run for school board or city council or county commission. Let's find out what your strengths are. You know what I mean? Oh, I love, this, that, or the other thing. Well, with all due respect, you're a university regent. You're not a city councilman. Do you want to work on zoning and traffic lights? Or do you want to work on, funding for education? Oh, no, I love it. Right, you're running for the wrong thing, bro. I'm running for Senate. Bill, I just asked my wife if she knew who Bill Conrad is, and she didn't. We need somebody who we recognize their name. Jim Marchant might not be America's choice right now for Senate, but we all know his name. Stephanie Phillips has been here telling us the news and interviewing candidates and joining me and going to the CCRP. A lot of people know her. Do enough people know her? Does my wife know Stephanie? That's a good question. I'm going to ask my wife. You know who Stephanie Phillips is?
Give me your wife's number.
Steve.
I'm going to tell who Stephanie Phillips is.
You keep slipping,
by the time you ask her,
she keeps slipping, man.
She doesn't.
We're going viral.
She might know. But do you think, do you believe that candidates have to kind of like roll up their sleeves and be involved in the party before they decide to run for an electoral office?
They don't need to. Strategy? It would be good.
Okay.
Why am I here? I wanted to get involved. You think I wanted to get involved and sit in the corner of Stoney's and, watch some, campaign ad for Jesse during a CCRP meeting? I mean, that's not what I wanted to get involved with. I wanted to get involved with change. I want to change the world. I want to turn Nevada red. I'm not here to sit in the corner for the next 10 years.
After you've been personally affected by our despotic laws that kept your business and everything.
Right. But
and like any business, you can't judge a man just on his business, but when you have a family that you're taking care of, you have a business that's prosperous or not. I mean, you can't, or a person going through a divorce, running through. It's a process, that people have different mindsets of like, hey, why I'm running or what's the reason. And when you're an invested member of a community, you have a due diligence to step up and say, wow, these things are not right, and I want to help affect that change.
Absolutely.
So that's why, I mean, you've been personally affected at least. I mean, but how would that differentiate you from other candidates? I mean, you're invested in the community, and what if you have a direction on what step by step this is what needs to be done for unity for the party, for example.
Right. If we could combine both of your questions, let's do that. Steve Sisolak gave it to me. Right. What did I do in 2020? Did I announce for governor?
A lot of people off.
Did I announce for governor? No, I didn't announce for governor. I sat in the corner while David Sajak yelled at everybody during a CCRP meeting. I went to the strip and I gave speeches. I rode my motorcycle and I led caravans down the strip.
You ride?
Oh yeah, man. I led the boat parade. 7 miles worth of boats, never-ending boats going around in one big circle. The tail caught up with the head. I mean, it was phenomenal. But I didn't run for governor. Then what did I do? I became a member of the CCRP. Then what did I do? I started a podcast. I still haven't run for office. I still haven't said me. I still haven't said I deserve this. What can I give? What can I give? What can I give? Oh, let me go to the meeting. Let me live stream the meetings. My channel's blowing up. People can't make it to the meetings. Let's take a video of it. Let's take pictures so people, not the red carpet, but almost like, ooh, we were there last night. How much fun is that? Oh, do you remember? Oh, that is Jesse singing the national anthem. Oh my God, he sings so nice. That's what these people, fun and having fun. Now, I've been doing this 3 or 4 years. Now I'm thinking, what's the next step?
Should I call?
Right. But I'm taking baby steps. I'm thinking about running for school board.
Exactly.
But
my
now
point. That's exactly my point. You should be involved before you start announcing you want to run.
And I lead by example.
Exactly. It's like these folks, and I know in the congressional races, you could run for any district. You don't have to live in it. But I think it's a moral principle. If you're going to ask people to vote for you, you got to be damn sure you can vote for yourself. If I live in Congressional District 2, that means that's where my voting block is. That's where my ballot is. That's where I could only vote. But then I'm going to run for District 3, which I can't vote, but yet I want all y'all to vote for me. That sounds like asinine to me.
When I'm not sure, I think, what did the founding fathers intend? What did they really want? I was on Vem Miller's show the other day, and he's asking me.
How was Vem?
He's great. He's a great guy, man. You and Vem are really leading the coverage in this, and I really commit because I'm running now. There's no Johnny Bruce show, but you and
Vem is my brother.
I know, and he's a good guy. But where was I?
Leading the charge. You and Vem leading the charge.
Vem asked. He said, "Listen, we're gonna expect so much of you, Johnny. When I win." He got it straight.
He got it.
He says, Johnny, when you win, we're going to ask so much of you. We think it should be a paid position. So maybe people like Jesse Lowe will be like, oh, well, I need a job and this, that, the other thing. And go back to what our founding fathers wanted. Even our senators and our House of Representatives were supposed to roll into town for a month or two, hammer out a couple of deals for the evolving state of our country, and then go back home and be left alone. No TV cameras, no year-round, litigation and legislation. And, where we keep, every time we lose a little piece of this freedom, it's almost impossible to get it back. Are we going to ever fire those 87,000 IRS agents, or are we stuck with them for life? Are we ever going to go back to our legislature meeting for 2 months instead of year round?
Well, they're tying up my tax refund right now since February. since February.
I mean, we're supposed to be a simple people being left alone to live in freedom, you know? And this is Las Vegas. This is the Wild West. We have, we have open carry. We have no income tax, and they're taking it. I remember when I lived in New York and I didn't understand politics. And in the early 90s, I'd drive around and I'd see these signs, get out of New York before it's too late. Everywhere, there was a couple of businesses that always had that sign, and they were like landmarks. You could see it when you're on the boat. You could see it from the water. And I'd be like, Dad, what? Who are these people that, are saying this? They're just warning that, we're getting a little too progressive. Taxes keep getting high. Whatever, Dad. And I didn't care. But now that's me. And we're in Las Vegas. And when I moved here, rent was $400, and now it's $2,000. You know what I mean? But the pay is the same.
The Las Vegas Police Union had up signs, billboards saying that we can't guarantee your safety on here.
The taxes.
Because of the more cops go, we can't guarantee.
And our freedom really
So that means they could have guaranteed the safety before that. So everybody that had their safety robbed from them should have sued.
Right. But the problem is, it's just like when I was a kid at the school board meetings. I've been experiencing this BS my whole life, which is why I want to be the chair so we could end it. You go to the school board meeting in New York and they're like, oh, we need to pass this budget. And the people are like, no. So they vote no. They're like, okay, no school buses. What are you talking about? Why don't you fire the 1,000 secretaries that you don't need? They get rid of the school buses because you're going to feel it. And now you got to drive your kid to school. And that's your punishment for not voting. That's not a democracy, and that's not a vote. That's blackmail, and that's malicious. And they do the same kind of stuff, whether you're talking about bringing in preferred shareholders, or you're talking, remember that Natalie Rose, she won communications director when Jesse won the chairman, right? Mm-hmm. Who's the communication director now?
Who?
I don't know. You tell me. You're a member. I'm a member. We don't know.
No.
Oh.
Mike, you know?
Is it Heather Florian?
No, she's the political director.
Oh, okay. Natalie something? Yeah.
No, she was, but she moved to Utah or something. I don't know. And then...
There is a vacated?
I don't know. I found out that Jesse changed the bylaws, so that becomes an appointed position. I also know I haven't seen a press release.
Does he need a vote for that? Or could he arbitrarily
executive committee vote or something like that?
Oh, it was an e-board vote.
Same thing with everybody else who got voted in. With the exception of Sally Minster, it's just Jesse and Sally. Where is everybody else that got voted in?
What are you going to do differently if you become chair?
We're going to have fun. We're going to save the world. We're going to have fun doing it. What does that
look like?
What does that look like? So many people say, I would never bring my family to a CCRP meeting. Why aren't we having more fun? We have celebrities. More celebrities than Hollywood. We have all the celebrities right here, and plenty of them are conservative, right? First of all, why don't we bring in a comedian like Rob Schneider, who's working with Fox News right now? Mark Wahlberg just moved here, and he's writing essays about why he's leaving Democrat California for, the home of the free, which is we're losing every day. Mark, you just moved here. We need your help to keep it like this. Why aren't we doing that? Kid Rock, Aaron Lewis.
Mike Tyson.
There you go. He goes to pavements all the time, right? He'll come up there. Hey, I can't imitate him, but, he's an awesome guy, and he's really down to earth, and he's really soulful and spiritual.
So you bring in celebrities to motivate
That's just
party.
One little example. I mean, why aren't we having a 4th of July extravaganza? Why aren't we going to the roof of the Ahern or to the empty lot across the street from the Ahern so we could all line up on the window of the Ahern and watch our sponsored thing that talks about the CCRP and rebranding ourselves? Why aren't we having, music and fireworks? Why don't we have an Easter bunny or some sort of, do you remember?
Because it takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of time.
Didn't I just say I'm going to need like 60 people every week? And I'm going to need at least like 500 people every month.
And it takes a lot of donors.
Right. And we're going to need money and people. And nobody can do that except for me.
And what are you going to do to bring money into the party?
Well, listen, we got to talk about ballot harvesting. We got to talk about volunteer work. We got to talk about candidate development. We got to talk about fundraising. We got to talk about events. That's a lot of stuff. And I've been doing my homework, and I have ideas for all of them. But the most important thing is I need to learn. And I need to know what the members want. So my ideas for fundraising is for example, a Christmas party with Kid Rock where everybody pays $150, a Lincoln Day dinner where we have all the conservative celebrities. We have our own celebrities in the Conservative Party. People like Annie Black. People love Annie Black. Sherelle Mendenhall. Why aren't we bringing these people to give 2-minute speeches at a big Christmas party or the Lincoln Douglas dinner party? Plus, let's end it with with the marquee speaker, whether that be somebody like Donald Trump or it be somebody else like Byron Donalds or Jim Jordan or something like that. Let's get some excitement. People need to have fun. People need to enjoy each other's company and people need to see results. That makes them want to come back. If every time, what committees we really have going on? At least maybe not so much the past couple of months as election season gets going, all of a sudden there's a lot more committees at the CCRP. What about during the election year in 2022? Why didn't we have all these committees? Oh, because the CCRP election is coming up. And half of these ideas were made up by me, Brittany, Natalie, Chris, and Rob at a Christmas get-together I had at my house. And then 2 months...
Invited. Were you invited? No, we weren't invited.
It was the small tent Christmas
Mark, were
party.
you invited? He wasn't invited.
Well, now we friends, bro.
Oh, okay.
100. You play poker?
No. I was going to say something, but I
used to run a poker show at least.
Well, what are you going to do to bring minorities? Listen here. Minorities, because I've been talking about this for a long time.
Good.
I mean, I've been with the party, I believe, since 98. What are you going to do to bring minorities into the party? Because all you chairmen always talk about it, but I really don't see a damn thing. What are you going to do to bring veterans into the party? Because there's 339,000 of us in the state of Nevada. And what are you going to do to bring the youth into the party instead of all these old white people?
All right, so let's go in order. Number one, minorities. First of all, I am the only Asian American candidate in the race. Mm-hmm. I'm Japanese and German. Mm-hmm. And so I believe I can have and our Asian community, whether you're talking about Pacific Islanders or Chinese, Japanese, Korean, yada, yada, yada. Asian people are dedicated and they're able to be depended upon. That's, I know it's stereotypical, but that's why they get good grades. That's, they show up for work every day on time, ready to work. And that's just a trait. And we could really use that kind of resilience and that kind of dependability. Number two, regarding minorities, we just had some sort of coronation for Ethiopians living over here by Chinatown. All right. Let me tell you something about Ethiopians. They are some of the best, most patriotic, hardest working people we have in our community. When I opened up my Infinity, I had a lot of Ethiopian students because they lived in that particular area, which is now,
too. They like to learn.
They love to learn and they love this country and they love hard work and their parents are very strict and they're serious about kids' education and their skin happens to be black. Having the Ethiopian contingent with us will help, first of all, dispel some stereotypes and some misconceptions and some of the bigotry of low standards. Just because you're black doesn't mean that you need an extra chance. If you punch a teacher, you're out. I don't care if you're black, white, or purple. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if you get an A, you can get an A if you're black. Mm-hmm. What makes an American black kid and an Ethiopian black kid different? Well, hopefully nothing. But if the Ethiopian is working harder,
Ebonics makes them different.
Ebonics. Well, I'm a pretty educated guy, and I spoke Ebonics and I had street slang. And when I used to be a 22-year-old kid at the bar, I would speak different than I'm speaking to you right now.
True.
And I know.
Or true that.
True that. Yo, a word to your mama.
A word to your mama.
But the fact is, you can turn it on and off. That's true. Would it be better? Yeah, of course it'd be better if we all spoke proper English. But, that doesn't mean that you
call
take
it the Queen's English.
Well, I speak Queen's English. I got in trouble for it a couple of times.
And the youth.
Oh,
because
we did minorities, we did youth.
Look, and I say, look, I call it what it is. It's old white people, okay? Not that I have anything against old white people, because I don't. But I just want to know, why is the party majority heavy in old white people? Why can't we have some young white people? Where are the youth? Where are the youth?
I already gave you one idea. We're going to have influencers getting on all the social media accounts to try to attract kids with witty humor and events. We're going to have some sort of events to get them together. And we don't have to concentrate on tax policy when we're trying to recruit the kids. Let's concentrate on having a good time and planting some seeds about, whatever the cause of the day is. But also, we need to do things like, there's incredible organizations like Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA wants to work with anybody and everybody. And I don't know why Charlie Kirk, that's another person that should be speaking at our Lincoln Douglas Day dinner or prior to one of our meetings. Turning Point USA is connecting with kids. Turning Point USA is that organization that rivals the Gay Straight Alliance clubs and stuff like that. And Turning Point, just like Veterans in Politics, which is so important, is nonpartisan. All right? We're going to talk about common sense. Common sense is more and more increasingly a Republican trait, but nonetheless, we need to connect with nonpartisan organizations. Get out the vote. Scott Pressler. All of this is all nonpartisan. Veterans in Politics and veterans in general. There's plenty of vets that love their guns and love their freedom and love their Democratic Party. All right? But we got to make them realize that we're not asking you to leave the Democrat Party, soldier. We're telling you that the Democratic Party has left you, and we are here with open arms. And what can we do to make this more palatable?
And what about the LGBTQ community? Would you embrace them into the Republican Party as well?
I believe, you want to talk about libertarian, to each his own. To each his own. And I've got gay friends. There's no problem. I got Sarah Cirillo. She's got her issues, but I consider her a friend. And
How would she have issues? Because she's gay?
No, because she's running around the front lines in Ukraine. She's crazy. Jesus.
I just wanted you to elaborate because I didn't know where you were going with this.
No, she's like a 40-year-old man who's now a woman who is running around the front lines fighting Russia. I mean, she's got a screw loose, right? I mean, come on. God bless her, man. But, she got shot in the cheek. She's got a hole in her face now. She's a nut.
That takes dedication.
She's got
We need
balls.
people like
Can I
that.
say
We
that?
need people like that in this world.
I can't say that. Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Damn.
Look, Mr. Bruchhagen, we need people like that in this world.
Right.
Because look here. If people,
can I make something clear?
Sure.
Stay the F away from the kids. 100%. You could do heroin. You could cut off your wiener. You could do whatever you want. We live in America. Stay away from the kids. That's it.
So
I'm sorry.
You don't want trainees to go read books to kids?
No. And do you know why we're not having an epidemic of drag time story hour at the old ladies' home?
Drag time story hour.
That's what they do at the library. Drag time story hour.
Really?
Do that, Steve.
They're protesting at it because the drag queens go to the library to read to 5, 6, 7-year-olds. But why aren't we having the same problem with old age homes? Why there's no drag time story hour at old age homes? You know why? Because they're not attracted to old people.
No, but we should have the kids go to the old people homes and have them read the books and teach
Getting back to Three Square and stuff like this, our members who have dogs or kids going to visit old age homes or veterans, people who are lonely that really just want somebody to touch them and just to touch them.
Yeah.
Right, and go listen to a story. Let's bring people to events that demand media, events that demand attention. And then when you get that one soundbite, you get 10 seconds to say something. Don't be screaming, "No abortion!" No, the Republican Party is here in the community. We're here for you. Come join the CCRP and find out what else we're doing.
And being in the community, how so? Because is the party involved with, like the Veterans in Politics, we're involved with Toys for Tots. We're involved with Veterans Village, bringing food to the veterans down there at Veterans Village. Are you open to the Republican Party to be involved with a lot of these nonpartisan organizations that help out in the community?
Interested? That's my damn platform. We need to be everywhere. I see the CCRP as the head of an octopus. And we're going to need all the Nevada Republican clubs. We're going to need all of even the consultants. We're going to need everybody, all the nonpartisan groups.
How are you going to bring together?
Phone call. I'm a very endearing guy. If they don't take my call, I'm going to go down there and talk to them. We need to be in the community. We need to be at events that demand media attention. We need people to know that we really do care. Because the mainstream media has a monopoly on the brainwashing of our citizens. And what are they saying? Democrats love everybody. Republicans are racist and fascist. That's just the perception that the everyday person has if you're watching ABC or CNN, which just those two channels right there, I bet you half the country's watching one or the other. And they're all learning how horrible Republicans are.
Who'd you support for president?
Oh, absolutely Donald Trump. Absolutely. Absolutely. Holy cow, what kind of a stupid question is that?
Do you think that would hurt you because of the indictment that Trump is going into?
Absolutely not. The thing is, with Donald Trump, I mean, I'm a big DeSantis fan. Don't get me wrong. And I don't like any mudslinging between Republicans, including my favorite president and possibly my favorite governor.
But why would you pick Trump over DeSantis?
Trump has done it. Trump served 4 years, and he was one of the best presidents we've ever had. Hands down, policy-wise, foreign policy, no wars, great economy, energy independence. I mean, I could go on and on and on. I mean, he was...
It ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, did he make some mistakes? Of course. There's some things I wish he didn't say? Of course. But then, without those things, do we still have Donald Trump? So you're going to have to swallow that jagged pill whole if you want to effectuate the change our country needs. Now, Donald Trump has done. Do I think DeSantis would be a great president? Absolutely. Do I think DeSantis has a chance to be better than Trump? Absolutely has a chance. I'm not saying absolutely would be better, but he definitely has a chance. But why gamble?
President and vice president, and there's dissension between both.
Oh my God, what has Kamala Harris done? All right, good. So we could leave DeSantis. We could leave DeSantis in Florida. We could have Trump and whoever's going to help him win, whether that's, whatever state that we need the votes from or whatever demographic I hate that that's now how we pick our vice president. But nonetheless, let Trump win the election by picking Pence was a great pick for Trump, right? You would think it was a bad pick, old white guy. Yeah. But Trump was the firecracker and he was the pious man. You know what I mean? He's obviously going to have to go in a different direction now. But I pray, literally. I'm doing this for Trump and DeSantis because I want Trump in 24 and I want DeSantis in 28 and 32. And if we had 12 years of Trump and DeSantis, especially after the contrast of what Joe Biden has done to this country, we might have Republicans for the rest of our lives because in 12 years, they could transform us back to what we're supposed to be.
Do you think that there's a Me Too movement in this state?
Can you expand? I mean, Me Too was sweeping the country in 2018.
For example, let's go with the county, Clark County. There's actually 58 district court seats. 42 of them are women. Let's go with the state. There are 7 Supreme Court seats. 5 of them are women. Do you think that there's a huge movement in the state?
Take a look around. We do a lot of talking. We talk about each other. Mm-hmm. We get together for coffee.
Mm-hmm. I like your New York accent, though.
Thanks. This is the things that women tend to enjoy doing. Now, and I hate to be stereotypical, but if we were going to play softball during the meetings or do keg stands, we'd probably see more men. So women are stepping up, and women also have the ability, the stick-to-itiveness that men don't always have. Men tend to have a little bit more of that ADHD that we were talking about before the show. Squirrel, softball game, where women have the wherewithal to see things through a lot more often. And women have the ability, that passive-aggressive ability and that ability to negotiate without losing their mind. Of course, when you're talking about wives at home, things could be a little different. But women in business tend to be able to, keep an even keel.
Not so egotistic.
Right. They seem to see the bigger picture and be able to step back. In politics and in business, more so than men. And that's why I think you see, more women than men in our arena. But by no means do I don't think anything should be determined by immutable characteristics. I get mad at you sometimes talking about you can't have a guy beat a girl,
You know what? I want to rephrase that. I truly believe, because of all the past elections that I've seen, that I'm
not saying you're wrong. I'm saying
true,
I don't like it.
True. That's fine. That when you have an incumbent that's a woman, you need a stronger woman on the other side to beat that female incumbent, because if you put a male in there, males can't talk about the female issues that are going on in this country. Only a woman could actually speak on it because they actually live it. I can't talk to a woman about having how she struggled to have rights to vote and how she struggled to have equal pay in the workforce. I can't speak on that. Only a woman could actually speak on those issues.
Yeah, but when you're talking about these types of issues, we got to stop with the categories.
Yeah, it's just dividing more. I think it's the best candidate for that person, whether they're black, brown.
Exactly. And it is the best candidate.
And why do, some women might make less more because they decided to take 5 years off and bring up their child. Some men, lost their job because the boss didn't like them. Some other guy lost their job and maybe it was because the boss didn't like them, but they think it was because they were black. Or maybe they think the boss doesn't like them, but it was because they're, everybody, when you break down, the biggest minority we have in our country is the individual. All right? I mean, with all due respect, I don't even know what nationality you are. I found out a little bit that you're from Jamaica, but I don't know if you're black, white, green, yellow. I have no idea. And to be honest, I really don't care. I really don't. You're a cool guy. You're a Marine. You got your show. You ask the tough questions. You're trying to make a difference.
I'm not sure what he identifies as, right?
Not at all.
He identifies male.
but even that, I didn't say, hey, are you a guy? You know what I mean? Like, I don't care, Right, let's talk. Let's talk about ideas. Small minds talk about people and big minds talk about ideas. You know what I mean? Let's talk about the future. Let's stop worrying about, I'm not a fool. I'm not trying to bury my head in the sand and not say we have to work on the Latino vote because they make up something like 50% of our population. I'm not saying we don't need to get more black people involved or we need to be strategic about, if this is one particular candidate, do you think a female would be better or can we use that to our advantage? I'm not dumb. I know that there's certain things that in our toolbox, but I want to start with the people who really have our values and really know how to implement change. Just, I'm not going to vote for somebody because they're against abortion. You can't do it. I don't care if you're the governor or you're on the school board. You're not going to do nothing about governor.
You can't change it,
Number
right?
2, that's a divisive issue. Mm-hmm. Number 3, just because I agree with you doesn't, now you talk about somebody else who, is a little bit more vanilla, but they have all of our values together. They understand that I'm going to be on the city commission. So what I'm looking for is more one-story housing instead of, high density housing, things that really make sense. I hate to keep going back to the same examples, but when you talk to somebody like Drew Johnson, you realize he ain't some idiot that's like, oh yeah, I'll run. You know what I mean? This is somebody he's
strategic.
Yeah. And he's been learning for not years, decades. He's been involved in these types of things. And me as a county chairman, I'm going to be leaning on a lot of people. Sally Minster has been doing this for years. Drew Johnson has been doing this for years. You talk about, even Rob Tyree or Chris Dyer or you yourself. You guys have been here for years. And I'm not going to walk in like I own the place. I'm going to walk in like I'm in our home. And how do things usually go here? When I walked into your home, right? I didn't just open the fridge. Hey, can I get a drink? And then you tell me, hey, you want a drink? You just open the fridge yourself. Now I will, right? I'm not going to walk into the CCRP and say, hey, change these curtains. Let's go. No, I'm here to steward the party in the direction that the membership wants. And make very simple common sense changes to make everybody enjoy the process more.
Well, Mr. Bruchhagen, we have you on for 2 hours now.
I thought this is still my bio.
And oh my God. and I want to give the same amount of time that I gave Ms. Douglas. So, but before, thank you for coming on.
No, thank you for having me.
But it's been very inspiring. I'm like, but before we end it, do you have anything that you want to cover that we didn't cover?
I don't know. I talked about everything, and I always got to go home and watch interviews and stuff because I don't even remember what I said because I get so excited. But you just said everything I needed to have said. You're feeling inspired. That's what you said. You could feel my enthusiasm. This ain't some joke. This ain't some consultant told me, hey, smile more or fix your teeth or fold your hands to look more. No, this is me. I talk too much. All right. I'm over enthusiastic. I'm excited. I want everybody around me to have fun. Not only do I want you guys to like me, I want you guys to like each other. I want to be a crew. I've been in bands. I was a musician. It's impossible to get all 5 guys to love each other. Well, I'm going to have membership up over 1,000. You think there's going to be no problems? We got this. We can do this. We can do it together. It's Johnny Brew for the win. Not Johnny Brew's win. Johnny Brew's got this. We got the votes. I'm not bringing people in to move the vote. The membership, all right? The people working with Jesse. The people working with Jill. When they get their ballot, they're going to be checking John Bruchhagen, all right? They tell me this is going to be thrilling, all right? But you guys need to understand, a vote for me comes with a responsibility. I need people. I cannot do this. I'm going to organize the logistics. How am I doing? Is it better? I'm going to organize the logistics. I'm going to make it fun, and I'm going to get the right people in the right place. When Steve Sanson comes to me and says, hey, I'd like to volunteer, I'm not going to have him walking doors when he's got media experience. We're going to have him doing the communication stuff. It's not going to be next man up all the time. It's going to be a team of people working and doing something that they love. If you hate talking, why are we going to make you make phone calls? You don't like talking to people. Then we're going to have you doing research. We're going to have you posting on social media. We're going to have you defending the Republican brand. But like I said, guys, when you vote for me, understand it comes with a responsibility. I'm going to need a couple hours a month from everybody. All right. Also, I'm not endorsing anybody, and I'm accepting endorsements, but I'm not bragging about them. Consider who you're voting for in the other 4 positions, and make sure it's not somebody you like. It's somebody you know is dedicated, dependable, will show up every day and try their best, because they're going to have to work just as hard as me. And we are going to work, because this is the final stand. 2024 is make it or break it. We're losing it here. They got super majorities in the legislature. We got 100% progressives on the school board, 100% progressives on the county commission, and it's out of control. All right? It's put up or shut up time, because I'm not going to Idaho. I'm not going to Florida. Home means Nevada. Get on board, start to love each other, and we're all starting with a fresh slate. Thank you.
Well, we're going to let you have the final word. But Mike, thank you so much for coming on the program. Do you have anything else for Mr. Bruchhagen?
I just want to ask you one question. Like, what's your policy going to be for your open door policy? Or I love how you said you got your strategy of how you're going to bring people together, right? And maybe if a win elected, putting a committee together.
Well elected.
I like to put things in as for, but putting in that step-by-step process of gathering all the information and opinions and ideas, and then putting those ideas to work into actionable items. Like I think if you can come up with that strategy and plan, that would benefit the party so much and bring everyone together in a synergistic way, because there's been so much dissension. So how would you do?
There's going to be a matrix, all right, a huge matrix that explains everything that we want to accomplish. Like I said, from candidate recruitment, vetting, before we start saying, oh yeah, run for Senate. Let's find out about you. You know what I mean? So recruitment, vetting, training, exposure, events, charity, Presley, Yeti, that's all down the candidate. Events and fundraising, everything else, right? So then we're talking about everybody's job. There's going to be each one of these things. We're going to have a board of directors that's going to get voted in. Those 5 people are going to be the heads of each of the 5 different things that we're looking to do. Beneath that is going to be a communications director, a public relations coordinator. Below that, we're going to have a micro-targeting, social media expert, and we're going to run this like a job.
So Johnny, you have a plan and you have a strategy of what you're going to do.
I want to answer your question.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Well, you said, how are we going to get all the ideas?
You're open to all those ideas.
And that's the thing is, the first week, I know, guys, I'm warning you now. After the first week, you guys are going to be like, holy cow, this is crazy. What's going on? Because it's going to be a week of, I need to talk to everybody. Everybody come down here. What's your skill set? There's going to be a list, a matrix of all the jobs I need. And again, when Steve comes in and says, I got you for 2 hours a month, I'm not going to put him with the walkers. I'm going to put him with the media. And when somebody else comes in who is a ticker, Mindy Robinson, she's going to go in the influencer category, not the phone call category. And we're going to find the right job for everyone. And the objective is to outline our goals and then see those goals get delivered. And there's nothing more fun than doing what you love and seeing it turn into a change, something change because of what you've done. And that will make you want to come back again and again and again. And when we have the Christmas party and we have the, fireworks spectacular and our friends are together and it's going to become our crew. It's going to be our crew because we are changing the world together.
So rebranding the whole party.
Rebranding 100%, changing the objective opinion of the Republican Party here in Clark County is essential. Essential. Billboards, influencers, everything we can do, school groups, speakers, TPUSA, Veterans in Politics, non-partisan, get out the votes. Going to the, get out the vote. My wife was sworn in, just became an American citizen. She's from Bolivia. And it was a wonderful, wonderful ceremony and accomplishment by her. And
I'm gonna stop you right there, Mr. Bruchhagen, because
we need to go see Trump. I can keep going.
Mark is gonna zoom in on you, and you could do the final spiel of what you want people to come out and vote for you for county chair and your point of contact.
All right, guys. John Bruchhagen, Johnny Brew. I'm going to be the next chairman because I'm the only person who could keep you all in the room. I know those of you who are watching are saying, if Jill wins, I'm out. And if Jesse wins, I'm out. All right? I know if I win, you'll stay. And thank you. All right? I've earned that from you, and you've earned it from me. And I'm not worried about who supports me. What you need to know is I support you. All of you. All right? I don't care if you've been sitting in the corner for 10 years or if you keep jumping up on stage and speaking. All of your voices will be heard, and the common sense approach will be delivered. All right? If we do something in executive session or down at the CCRP offices, you will find out about it as members, whether it be as a video update or it be some sort of a newsletter. All right? We will have financial goals painted up on the wall. So when we're looking to get $100,000 in, the first half of 2024, well, we're going to find out how that's going. And then if you want to know where that money is going, you're going to be able to see it. You're not going to have to ask for it because we're going to be releasing reports. We're going to decide where the money should go. Do you want our money to be going entirely towards ranked choice voting because that's that important? Or do you think it needs to go to, an assemblyman because we need to win one more assembly seat to guarantee we don't have a supermajority of Democrats? All right? This is not my Republican Party. It's your Republican Party. And all the things you've said to me for the past 3-4 years, that's what we're going to do. Not all the stuff that I said to you. It's your party. I'm here for you. Thank you. You people who are still working with Jill and Jesse and told me you're going to vote for me, God bless you. We are all in this together. All right? All of you will get a moment with your ballot where you get a little bit of privacy. And if you want to get excited, enthusiastic, and have more people coming to help you, you check Johnny Brew for the win, all right? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Johnny, for coming on the program. Mike, thank you for coming on the program and replacing Jim. Folks, that's Johnny Bruchhagen, a.k.a. Johnny Brew, candidate for Clark County Republican Chairman. If you like what he says, vote for him. If you're on the fence, call him up, find out more. And hopefully we will keep the Clark County Republican Party and make it great again. Make it great again, huh?
Let's make it fun again. That's one of my taglines. Let's make the CCRP fun again.
This is Steve Sanson and Michael McDonald of Veterans in Politics. Until next time.